Welcome back, Deadheads. I'm Lupinefiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we're playing Gravy Bones Shipwrecked Looter. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias, and can more objectively judge the quality of my games. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the lines I would take now, comparing them to the lines I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new upload from Daily FaB Gameplay in your video feed. You can find a Fabry link to the decklist I'm playing here in the video description below. You'll also find a link to my Patreon page. Subscribers at the Arc Lightning tier and higher will get access to my matchup guides for all of my other decks forever, though not including Gravy. Want to tighten and optimize your gameplay in real life? Use my affiliate link in the video description to buy your very own Codex journal, and be sure to use code LUPINE10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Finally, Daily FaB Gameplay is brought to you in part by Hemel from the Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the flesh and blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023 and have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. High Seas set bundles, singles, and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Message Hemel on Blue Sky, Discord, email, or Twitter to see what he can do for you. All aboard the gravy train. Remember 2 weeks ago when I told you that I wasn't going to play Gravy on the channel because he just didn't appeal to me out of the other two heroes that released in High Seas? Well, I was totally wrong, because this hero's awesome and he's a lot of fun and I want to play him. So we queued up with Peter Bedenzic's Battle Hard Vegas top 8 list, which is Yuki Lee Bender's 0 to 80 list from the FabTCG website. I've done the sideboarding as best that I can. What I really like about this list is how well it converts hands between Swiftwater Sloop, E-Strike, Saltwater Swell, and just the various different allies. So sideboarding here might be wrong, but I think the macro play is at least right. I know a ton of you are going to come at me in the comments for all sorts of misplays, but I know. Just bear with me. Very complex deck for someone who usually plays redline aggro. We're gonna try our best. So against Florian, our macro plan here is to try and establish 2 or 3 allies on the board at a time. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna screw that up over the course of this game, but we want to try and take advantage of the fact that Florian doesn't always have go again. Sometimes he converts hand very well, but it is unusual that he's going to have the E-Strike, the Rune Rager Swarm, the Swarming Gloom Veil, the Trot Along, especially if we are taking cards from him in order to push through damage with our allies, or Conqueror of the High Seas, or various on-hits like Loot the Hold, or even Gold-Baited Hook. So we're just going to do our best here. We won the die roll, we chose to go first. My understanding of Gravy Bones is we want to go first all of the time, because if we can establish a turn 0 ally, or at least get one in graveyard, then we're in a really good spot. This is an interesting hand because we don't have a cheap ally to put into the graveyard. We have Whaler, we have Swabby, but we want to start loading up on Limpets or Rigor Mortis. But what we can do is start with Portside Exchange, and we have some options. We can discard our Whaler Humperdinck, we can discard Swabby, we could even discard Sea Legs, but I do want to start getting allies into the graveyard. What do I want to discard to the Portside Exchange? I think given the fact that we aren't going to attack on this turn and we really don't need the action point from our compass, I'm going to port side the sea legs, and then look to, depending on what I draw, look to hard cast either Swabby or Whaler. Drawing into the Oyston here is kind of interesting too. We have the resources that we could just run out a Swabby if we pitch Whaler and Oyston, but the fact that we have 3 allies in hand, and we haven't gravied yet, and we have an extra gold from port side, means that we can put an ally into graveyard and establish one on board. I want to do that with Oyston. So if we gravy and put Oyston in the yard, depending on what we draw, if we draw a blue, then we can Dead Threads, run out Whaler. If we draw a red, then we can Dead Threads, run out Swabby, and arsenal the red. I mean, depending on the blue that we draw, we could arsenal that too. But we will get to put Oyston in the yard, and we will get to play an ally, depending on what we draw. Now, am I excited about running out a Whaler on turn 0? Not particularly. But the fact that we are so early on in this game means that Florian has limited options for dealing with a Whaler. If we were further along in the game, Felling of the Crown is an easy 2-card answer to Whaler. But without Felling being online, Florian needs an E-Strike or multiple forms of Go Again, so a way to make multiple auras to turn on Swarming Gloomveil, get it up to 4 power, and then come in with the Reaping Blade, or something like Trot Along to give Reaping Blade Go Again, and then come in with a 6 power attack. So Whaler on turn 0 isn't the best play we can make, but it also is far from the worst. And if Florian ends his turn and we have a Whaler on the board, we're like so incredibly far ahead on turn 1 that it's insane. So we draw a blue. The blue is going to let us roll out a Whaler. I'm not super excited about arsenaling a Murderous Rabble, which is why I am not going to try and keep a card, right? I can Dead Threads, run out Swabby, but the other thing is Swabby is a lot easier for Florian to clear. That's just a pitch card, Reaping Blade it. So we've put an Oyston into our yard. We now have Whaler Humperdinck out. The hand that we draw into kind of sucks. We really would have liked to see a yellow with our Tipple here. We could maybe call to the grave for something, but we don't want to load up on allies like too quickly, just because we don't want to give Florian the easy clear. So Florian has the E-Strike. It's pretty unfortunate for us. It does mean that he's burning a resource, so Whaler effectively gaining us, we'll say 8 health here. If Florian just went at our face, it could have been E-Strike for 5 Go Again, send Reaping Blade. So we do take 1 from the Rune Chant, Whaler dies, but we're still sitting pretty at 39 health, and what's actually interesting about being at 39 is Florian's Reaping Blade prevents him from gaining a life from Everbloom Life. So Florian ends the turn with no arsenal, doesn't get the extra point from life. We have an awkward hand, but we can maybe work around it. And we'll come back to our turn. So the first thing I want to do is take a peek at the top of my deck, because if I have a yellow on top, then I don't need to call to the grave here. I can just pitch probably Back Alley Breakline to play blue Tipple. Sorry, I would pitch Back Alley Breakline, break gold, draw the yellow, play blue Tipple, discard the yellow I draw, make a new gold, and we even get to activate Gold Baited Hook before we do all of this. That's the biggest takeaway I've had from Gravy so far, is on your Tipple turns, you will activate Gold Baited Hook. No one's going to block a blue Tipple. Depending on the deck, they might not block a red Tipple. So it's just an easy way to get an extra gold. And because you've already made a gold from Tipple, there is 0 risk to doing it. So the first thing I want to do is Compass, because I don't know for a fact that I'm going to break my gold or Gravy, and I need to know if it's worth using my gold here. Because the other line I could take is like, play Call to the Grave, find a Swabby, pitch my Tipples, play the Swabby, use Dead Thread, send 7. Like, it's not a great line. We see a Sea Legs on top of the deck. So we are going to break our gold. We're going to end up undoing this turn because I need to Gold Baited Hook now, if only because there's a very low chance that our Florian is going to block the blue Tipple. And in taking this undo, I didn't Compass, so pretend for the rest of this turn that we don't have a compass available. We are going to make our second Gold Kiss Rum. We're going to make a second gold as well. We draw Give No Quarter, which is not exactly what we want to see here. Maybe if this tipple was an extra blue, we could think about using Whaler. But the question now is, how do we want to use the resources we have available? We can call to the grave for an ally, put it into the yard. Our dead threads will be online. We could find Limpet as a pretty okay option. It doesn't use all of our resources from Give No Quarter, but we could call, put Limpet in the yard, play Limpet, pitch Give No, send 2, go again, play Oyston, send 3. We do have 2 Gold Kiss Rums, so I'm a little more interested in getting value out of those. What I might want to do is something like call to the grave for Sawbones, play Sawbones, Gold Kiss Rum, Sawbones for 6, go again, play Oyston, send Oyston for 3, and Arsenal the tipple, and that actually sounds like a really nice play. Compared to running out that Limpet, we only have 3 in the deck. It's a really good enabler for going wide, and I kind of don't want to just tee it up for Florian. Playing out Tipple here is wrong, but it is a way to convert the hand, I suppose. I just don't like it very much. I'm gonna Arsenal Call to the Grave. That's a decent line too. It just gives Florian an easy clear for the Oyston, and we aren't getting value out of our hero this turn. Graveyard remains untapped, and we have those 2 Gold Kiss Rums. So Call to the Grave in Arsenal is nice, but I think I would have rather had the Sawbones. We're pushing 9 damage instead of 6. We have a Tipple in Arsenal, which is going to help us put more allies into the graveyard and give us a bigger stockpile of gold. And we would have 2 allies that Florian needs to deal with instead of just the 1. Is it likely that Florian kills Oyston? Maybe not, but it would have asked him the question, or at least made it more difficult for him to answer the question of how are you going to deal with my allies? Also, we look at our hand now and say, well, geez, if we had a Tipple in Arsenal, then we'd really be going crazy this turn. We would get to gravy one of these allies away, we'd get to Tipple an ally away. We'd be in a really nice spot, but instead we're in sort of an awkward one where we do have Call to the Grave, but Call to the Grave is an enabler, and an enabler from deck, and what we really need is an enabler from hand, which would have put any of these 3 allies into our graveyard. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to gravy just to see if we can get something that makes us want to block this Rune Major Swarm, and the answer is no. We draw another ally. At this point, we can decide what we are dealing with from Florian. It's looking like it's going to be E-Strike for 5, go again at us, and then I assume Reaping Blade kills Oyston. What does our turn look like? We've got this Murderous Rabble in hand. We have a Call to the Grave in Arsenal. Our hero is tapped, so we won't be able to Gold Kiss Rum this turn, which means that we don't get to do something like play 2 allies and attack with 1. But we can still manage to put a turn together. I don't think we're allowed to block with Murderous Rabble this turn without compassing first. It's the only way that we can get a blue into our yard to turn on gravy, which is very important to me. If I could develop this chum, I really would like to. And we've got Reaping Blade targeting us, so Florian deciding to go face and leaving Oyston is kind of nice for us in our position. And that makes me think that what we can do is start to really develop a large board here. If we take 3 from the Reaping Blade, we don't block at all. We can play our Call to the Grave. We can find a Limpet. We can play Limpet from graveyard. We can attack with Limpet, so we are floating a resource after pitching one of these yellows. We can then run out Rigor Mortis, and maybe that means I want to block with the Murderous Rabble because we have Call to the Grave going to the yard as a way to turn on gravy. So let's say we block with Rabble, we stay at 30, we have 3 allies in hand and a Call to the Grave in Arsenal. We play Call, we put Limpet into the graveyard, we play Limpet from the graveyard, we can even Dead Threats that, so at this point we still have these 3 allies in our hand. We have an action point, and we have Oyston, we have Chum in the yard already. What we can do with that is, can we use Mage Master's Boots at all? I'm just wondering how we can really cheat out more allies this turn. We might need our Murderous Rabble to do it. So if we keep the Murderous Rabble, then we get to play Call to the Grave, find a Limpet, play a Limpet. We still have 4 cards in hand. We get to pitch our Sawbones to Mage Master's Boots and attack with the Limpet. Then we can play Rigor Mortis from hand by pitching our Sawbones, and then we get to play Chum from the yard. So we've established 4 allies on the board, and we are presenting pretty decent damage because we get to follow up all of that with Chum, which attacks for free. So I kind of like not blocking here. Let's just go to 27. I mean, we're chilling. We're going to have 4 allies out. We have 2 Gold Kiss Rums. Our hero will be tapped, so we won't be able to get value out of the Gold Kiss Rum this turn, but we are in a good position to start getting value out of our Gold Kiss Rum. Blocking with the Murderous Rabble. Let's see, what line did I find here? We see a Sea Legs on top of the deck, which, if we had a blue on top, it is worth knowing that. But notably, we did use our Compass and then just called to the grave, so we aren't going to... We don't know what's on top of our deck now, and we have no way of finding out. Playing Call to the Grave, finding a Swabby means that I'm going to send 7, and I have 2 allies. This seems much, much worse to me than the other line I proposed, which would have had us with an Oyston, a Limpet, a Rigor Mortis, and a Chum. No Mage Master's Boots, and we'd be at 27 instead of 30. But that's pretty good. That's a lot of allies for Florian to deal with, and the nice thing about having Chum when you're playing against a Florian is as soon as Florian pitches to Grasp of the Arknight, as long as you have a card in your hand with Watery Grave, here we would have a Limpet, Florian has to target the Chum. So if Florian's turn was like Grasp, Reaping, Pass, suddenly you don't lose any allies because the Reaping isn't enough to kill Chum, and Florian needs to have something else to deal with it. So I like that we have a Swabby out. I liked that we pushed 7 damage, but I would have been totally happy to trade 3 life of mine and a point of damage to Florian in order to have a Limpet and a Chum. But it's neither here nor there. So Florian would have been able to kill the Chum if we had played one. Florian has Swarming Gloomveil coming in for 4 with Go Again. This would have targeted Chum, and then we have the Reaping Blade follow-up. But what's really nice about that is that we would still have Limpet. And if we have Limpet, Rigor Mortis, and Oyston, we also have an Avasti in hand. We get to play the Avasti, give Rigor Mortis Go Again. We have no Limpet in hand, but we get to pitch Saltwater Swell in order to send 6 Go Again. We get to pitch Second Swell in order to send 2 Go Again, and then we get to send 3 at the end of the chain. We can also skip the Limpet attack and Arsenal a Saltwater Swell. So this would have been a really, really cool turn for us. You know, as it is, we still get to maybe kind of do something, but that would have been a really sick setup. So what do we have going on here? We've got a Swabby, we've got an Oyston. I'm assuming that Florian is going to send Reaping Blade at the Swabby because it's a clean kill, and if Florian doesn't kill Swabby, then, like, we're super far ahead. I would like to have undone this passing 2 blocks because I want to Compass. I want to see if my Saltwater Swell is going to hit something off the top of my deck, because if it is, then I can think about pitching Limpet in order to play the Swell and going up multiple resources. So we have a back alley break line on top, which is a blue. It's also a back alley break line, and if you swell a back alley break line into your pitch stack because it entered a zone from your deck, you just get an action point. So if we pitch a Vasti into Saltwater Swell and flip Back Alley Breakline from deck into pitch, we will have 5 resources and 2 action points. And what we get to do with the 2 action points is play Limpet from hand, attack with it, attack with Oyston. Do we have a way to get a blue into our graveyard to enable Gravy? That might be a little harder. We have the Chum, so we would need to not block, pitch Swell to play Swell, play Event. I don't think it's going to work. I think all the break line does is enable us to cheat the action point and cheat out Limpet. We did just Compass. What we can do is Gravy after we play the Swell and flip the break line, and then Limpet goes to our graveyard. We can still play it. We don't have a way to use our action point. But if we draw into another blue, then we do get to play out Chum, and now we get to cheat the action point because we would have 2, Chum would get to attack. Alright, so now I'm feeling great about this line. So I think what I do want to do is block with one of these 2 swells. We don't need a second swell, and I kind of don't want one. I'd rather just have 3 life. So we'll go to 28. If Florian attacks us, we're like super up. No, Florian is going to kill Swappy. Understandable. So we are going to play our Swell. We're going to pitch a Vasti. We know we're going to flip a Back Alley break line. So we now have 5 resources and an action point. We'll have 2 after the channeling closes and Go Again resolves. Depending on how Florian blocks, I do want to Gravy here. We just have way too many resources to be okay with just playing Limpet from hand. So we do have to give out our last gold to do this. Tip the Barkeep, incredible draw. We could just play it, and in fact we are going to. So we're going to make our 3rd rum, which again is making me think, wow, 3 turns ago, I really should have broken that rum to have a bigger, 4 ally turn. But eventually we are going to get value out of these tips, especially because we have no gold, so the only thing we can do with our hero is tap him to Gold Kiss Rum. So we'll play a rum. That's going to turn on our ability to play Analyze from Graveyard. We get to send Limpet. This is going to bring us up to 2 action points. We get to send Oyston. That's going to bring us down to 1 action point. So that is a mistake. We should have played the Chum and then attacked with it, not the Oyston. We miss a point of damage by taking this line. So, good thing to remember. We should have broken the chain after the Limpet and then sent the Chum. The hand we draw into is kind of ass. It's 4 blues, but we aren't really looking for a way to turn on our Watery Grave. We are looking for a way to get more allies into the graveyard. Florian targeting Limpet with Reaping Blade. It's pretty unfortunate. We don't have a way to respond to that. We'll take a peek with Compass to see what's on top of our deck. We see an Avasti. Not that we have an easy way to draw. I mean, we do have Portside Exchange. We were really hoping for an ally, but even the ally on top doesn't really work with Portside because we have to discard first and we don't have gold to draw. We know that our Swell would pitch into a blue, but we don't have anything to do with the resources. Plus that isn't true. We should have an ally left in graveyard. It might have just been the Chum. So I'd love if I could look at that. Playing out the Murderous Rabbles is going to be 3 Go Again. What are we doing with this hand? 3 Go Again is nice. I would like to then probably close chain. I need to remember if I have an ally in my graveyard or not. Because what I could do with this hand, what I really want to do, is close chain after this, pitch, Swell, play an ally, play Loot the Hold, and then attack with Chum. Okay, we don't have the ally, so do we have a way to not take an intellect penalty here? And I think the answer is no. What I want to do is set up to make a gold with portside exchange, which means that I'm going to play loot the hold. No, I'm going to attack with Oyston. I'm going to break a rum. I'm going to attack with Oyston. I'm going to close the chain. I'm going to play loot the hold, and then I'm going to swing with chum. That's the best way to convert this hand that is otherwise pretty unconvertible. It also forces Florian to care about this chum attack, and the fact that Florian just blocked with 2 cards, meaning that, that we're either getting armor or we're going to get 2 cards. So this is pretty good. We get to Arsenal the portside exchange, again, drawing into not things that I want. What I would like to do is respond to the felling with a compass. Let's see what's on top of our deck. At a minimum, we get to just block 9 on this felling and then send 7 after breaking a rum. Send Oyston into chum. And that's pretty cool. We know that we have a limpet on top of our deck, but again, we don't have a gold in order to gravy, and portside exchange makes us discard before we draw. So we don't even make a gold off of that, and we can't do anything with limpet. So we are just going to wait. We have this portside exchange in our arsenal. We know that we're going to draw a limpet, so we're going to be able to make a gold and have the limpet and turn on Gravy's ability. So what I believe we should do here is actually we can get a little more aggressive with this hand. I want to bottom tip the barkeep to the felling. I want to block felling with portside and saltwater swell, and then I want to play Avasti and send chum into Oyston. Chum presents a breakpoint. If Florian lets it hit, then we make a gold from the Avasti, and then we get to send Oyston for 3. So 1 card 7 is pretty good. You know, this is a 4 card 13, kind of. After we bottom to felling, if we instead look at it as a 3 card 13, it's pretty good. It's a lot better. So we take the aggressive line and play the Avasti. We get to send chum for 4 go again. Florian could just give us a 3 block and grasp of the Arknight, but sure, we're making him use armor. We are keeping our Gold Kiss rum. Let's see, Florian does have the use of Well Grounded if you choose to use it. The answer is no, though, so we are going to get a gold. Now we're in an interesting position where we can, for one thing, gold baited hook. We've made a gold, so we are not in danger of losing our hook. We could gravy here if we wanted to. What we could actually do if we wanted to, and I don't think we should, because I don't want to just run out a limpet. But what we could do is gravy the limpet into our graveyard, play it, dead threads, send 2 go again into 3. But I think that just laying out a limpet is inviting Florian to put 3 in front of the Oyston, pitch to send Reaping Blade into limpet, and then arsenal a card. I kind of just don't want him to do that. We also have this portside exchange in arsenal, so I do want to play that and be able to start racking up some gold again. We have a Cadaverous Tilling targeting us, and this is coming in for 8. So now we're in a weird spot where we get to decide how we want to pace the rest of this game. Because we could just put some cards in front of the Tilling. We could put E-Strike Rabble in front of the Tilling, take 2, go to 24. We have our portside exchange that not only is going to get limpet into our graveyard, but is also going to be the blue that lets us play limpet. We'll draw a card. So there is a world where we get to pitch a blue, play limpet, pitch a blue, attack with it. We can dead threads back up to 3 resources. We could break a rum in order to play and attack with Rigor Mortis. We could use our Mage Master's Boots in order to play and attack with Rigor Mortis. We could even use a rum to attack with Oyston at the end. So we could block 6, potentially return fire with 11 for a 17 value turn with 3 allies. Or we could get real aggressive with it And if we get real aggressive with it, that means we're playing the Portside Exchange, we're discarding Limpet, we're also activating Gravy and putting Rigor into the graveyard. Now we have Limpet Rigor. One of them will get go again thanks to Compass. We can use our Mage Master's Boots to play out the second one. Using our Murderous Rabble, we will have drawn a card off of the Portside Exchange, which we could look at bottoming to E-Strike if we wanted to send like Limpet, E-Strike 5 go again, Rigor Mortis. We're sending less damage, but we are more consistent in what we're doing, which means that we are probably supposed to Compass here to see what's on top of our deck, and if it's a blue, then we take the defensive line, blocking with E-Strike and Rabble, going to 24, and if it is a red or a yellow, then we can think about taking the aggressive line and just taking 8. What if it's a yellow? We would get to play Limpet, attack with Limpet, play Rigor Mortis, even going with Death Threads. Yeah, we were supposed to Compass there, because I think blocking 6 was actually the higher value. I mean, it's definitely the higher value line, just in how numbers work. But also, I think it was the objectively correct play, being that we would have preserved a bunch of life. We get to run out the same amount of allies and the same allies, but we have 6 more life. So here we draw Give No Quarter, which is pretty bad considering where we are in this turn. We have put a blue into our graveyard, so the next thing I want to do is Gravy, because I want this Rigor Mortis in my graveyard as well. And I want to potentially turn it into a new card. I think Compassing here is wrong. We have a Loot the Hold on top of the deck. Do we have a way to make Florian care about that? So let's say we Gravy here, we put Rigor Mortis into our graveyard. We play Limpet for free. We would not be able to tap Gravy to Gold Kiss Rum, so we're committing ourselves to breaking Mage Master's Boots. Let's say we Dead Threads that out. So now our hand is Give No Quarter, Loot the Hold, Murderous Rabble, E-Strike. We can play Limpet for free, and then we do Mage Master's Boots. Then we get to Rigor Mortis, pitching our Give No Quarter. We pay 1 to attack with Limpet for 2 go again. We E-Strike for 5 go again, bottoming Murderous Rabble. And then we play Loot the Hold. We should have 2 resources left over, and that's what we use to attack with Rigor Mortis, which is good. It's a high value line. Florian potentially blocking the Limpet and the E-Strike, and maybe leaving himself open to getting hit by the Rigor Mortis and getting his hold looted. Is there a different line we can take? The different line, what if we don't tap Gravy and we just play Limpet? We can Gold Kiss Rum, pitch our Give No Quarter, play Rigor Mortis. We can then attack with Limpet, Murderous Rabble, Rigor Mortis, Arsenal, E-Strike, and then draw Loot the Hold on our next turn. That would be 2, 7, that would be 2, 5, 11, Arsenal, E-Strike. Or we do the Gravy line, where we do discard Rigor Mortis, have Loot the Hold in hand, Dead Threads out the Limpet, pitch Give No Quarter for Mage Master's Boots, play Rigor Mortis, send 2, 7, 13 total, but we don't get an Arsenal. I kind of like that, to be honest. I kind of like the Gravy line here. Let's see how I'm going to navigate the turn. I do think that arsenaling the E-Strike has some merit, but ultimately I just don't like it as much. Everything I'm doing, or nothing I'm doing here, is revealing information. So at this point, it's impossible to tell where I am in my decision making, as far as, am I going to Gravy or am I going to Arsenal and E-Strike? Is there a reason to hook here? There definitely is, because we have played the portside exchange, so I think we were supposed to hook on the limpet there, just to kind of punish Florian for blocking it. If Florian gives us a 3 block in front of the 2, that's great. If Florian uses well-grounded, that's great. So we were supposed to hook on the limpet attack. We did make a gold from portside, so there's no risk. Okay, we're going to gold here instead. I am going to gold kiss rum, and I'm going to play, I assume, rigor mortis. Am I also going to mage master's boots? That'd be pretty interesting. I think I am. So we send chum. Gold baited hook is attached to chum. If I can now pitch give no quarter into mage master's boots, play rigor mortis, give it go again, and then attack with rigor mortis, we do burn a resource. We arsenal E-strike. So we sent 2, 5, 9, 15, and we got an arsenal out of it. There was no disruption tied to it, but we do know we're going to draw loot the hold. We did spend our mage master's boots, but as I recall, we were going to do that anyway. So this is a good line. This was, of the lines that I described, and let me know in the comments, maybe you found a different one. This is looking pretty good. We've got 2 floating prevention on this rigor mortis. Florian taking 3 in total. We arsenal and E-strike. We have 4 allies out. We also have 2 allies with Watery Grave in our hand. 2 cards with Watery Grave. So we are snap chumming here. I'm chumming, I'm discarding Whaler. Whatever Florian was planning to do, he is now attacking chum. And chum is protecting both limpet and rigor mortis. That's fantastic. So we're going to see how Florian navigates the rest of this turn. For one thing, we've got a Swarming Gloomveil coming in for 4 go again. Targeting chum. We've got a Reaping Blade follow-up. So, who knows? Maybe Florian was going to do this anyway. But if Florian was instead going to send Swarming Gloomveil at rigor mortis and Reaping Blade at limpet, not anymore. This is great. We're feeling fantastic about our position in this game. We have an E-strike in arsenal. We can start by using gravy, putting the sawbones into our graveyard. But what does that necessarily do for us? We do want to play loot the hold this turn. I am interested in Florian needing to block the rigor mortis attack. So if we activate gravy, draw a card, put sawbones into discard, we then get to use dead threads to pay for the limpet attack. We have an E-strike in hand and an E-strike in arsenal, so we can always just convert. I think gravying before we compass here is correct. I want to get the sawbones in the graveyard anyway. Just good to know what the rest of our turn looks like and how many allies I can pay for. I don't think it's relevant that we can Gold Kiss Rum into E-strike draw and get our action point back. I want to gravy, that's going to get us that resource off of dead threads. Activating the compass first shows us that we have a rigor mortis on top of our deck. Does that do anything for us? We could gravy, draw the rigor mortis, put it into graveyard, play loot the hold. At some point, we also have the option to E-strike and E-strike, and we have dead threads. So let's say we gravy, put the rigor mortis into the yard, dead threads, a limpet attack. That's 2. Now we can E-strike for 5, go again. We can then pitch sawbones to play rigor mortis, play loot the hold, attack with rigor mortis. So we are sending 13 damage total and forcing Florian to respect the rigor mortis attack. And Florian potentially blocked the limpet or the E-strike. So that seems pretty good. I think that's our best line at this point, given the low number of blues that we have available to us and knowing that we aren't going to draw a blue off of the gravy. But see, this is where I wish that I had gravied first, because then I could compass. Maybe there's a blue under the rigor mortis, and I would have liked to have known that. what are we doing here? What's going on? We know that Florian can't decompose. Am I not going to play Loot the Hold here? Okay, we get a card from Florian. We get to close the chain. See, I think this is just strictly worse than the other line that was available to us. Because had we taken the other line, we would have also been able to play a Gravy a Rigor Mortis this turn using our Dead Threads. Yeah, so this is just strictly worse than the other line. We still have that Gold Kiss Rum. So on our next turn, we could have looked at doing something like, I mean, depending on what Florian does, if we can keep a blue and our Gold Kiss Rum, we get to do Limpet Rigor for a 1-card 14. Yeah, this is definitely a big weakness I'm seeing in my play, where I am not abusing the fact that I have basically an extra hand in the graveyard. We have 3 allies, and we're in a good spot, but we could be in an even better spot. We could have a second Rigor out right now. And a second Rigor out right now would be super cool, especially depending on how Florian's going to address this. Florian's going to kill this one Rigor Mortis. We would just have a second Rigor Mortis. So in any case, we're at 14. We have our Golden Tipple. We're not going to Compass. We're for sure going to just play Tipple before we do anything else. And we don't need to hook this because Florian actually is incentivized to block this Golden Tipple. It is attacking for 3, so Florian can block it cleanly. We rip a blue and a Loot the Hold. We're going to see that we have a Conqueror on top of our deck. We have a Conqueror in hand and we can enable it, so there really isn't a reason to draw into this second Conqueror. Using gold, we have nothing to Gravy. So our line here is just a pretty easy Conqueror into Limpet into Oyston. I think where we are supposed to hook is on the Limpet attack. That's the one that Florian is least incentivized to block because it only attacks for 2. If we Conqueror, Limpet, Break Chain, Hook, Oyston, then maybe Florian does just give us a 3 on a 3, and we don't make that extra gold. But first, Florian does have to deal with the Conqueror. Florian's online, has the 10 Earth cards and Banish. Millennium Tree plus a non-attack action plus any other card is going to enable him to cleanly 2-card block the Conqueror, and that is what happens. Florian makes 2 might from Canopy Shelter as well. This, like I said, is when we should break the chain in order to gold-baited hook, so that the on-hit is on Limpet, not on Oyston. Maybe Florian doesn't block it. But Florian takes 2, goes to 5. We are still going to gold-baited hook here. It's free, it's no risk. Florian just going to 2 and giving us a gold is pretty good for me. Pretty happy about that. What do we have going on here? A hand that unfortunately does not turn on Conqueror. We've got an E-Strike targeting us. This is coming in for a total of 9. 2 Rune Chance, plus 5 Go Again, plus 2 Mites. The first thing we want to do is Gravy. Get this chum into our discard, get a new card into our hand. See if it's a blue. A blue here would be great, but it also means that we can Compass to see what we are drawing after the chum. I'm just draw another chum. Cool. Let's see what we have on top. Showing us a blue. So that's great. That means that we, at minimum, can pitch a Vasti, draw tip, pitch tip, attack with Conqueror, and then send Oyston. That's 3-card 11. It's pretty good. We also just have this chum. So what I'm seeing from this hand, potentially, depending on how Florian deals with the rest of his turn, if he sends the Reaping Blade at us or if he sends it at Limpet. If he sends it at us, we could go to 2. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use Dead Threads and Hook. I'm going to stay alive at 4. We then get the option to E-Strike for 5 Go Again, bottoming chum. We break the chain, pitch a Vasti, draw our blue, send Conqueror for 8, Go Again, and then send Oyston. So we're sending 5, 13, 16. That's 100% the correct play. So we should just put Hook and Threads in front of this, go to 5, go to 7, and then see where Florian sends the Reaping Blade. Remembering, our line is E strike 5, go again. Actually, what we could even do... Oh, sorry, no, we can't run because we're tapped. So, E strike for 5, go again, gold, conk for 8, go again, Oyston. Just easy, clean 16. Instead, we're going to do something much worse than that, which involves blocking with E strike. Now we have a really bad line. I think I was just assuming that Florian was going to target me here, which is like super wrong. So now what we're doing is breaking another gold, I guess. I'm not really sure what I'm digging for at this point. Sea legs is not where I want to be as far as looking for something to put in the arsenal. Sure, let's just keep cracking gold. What else is it for, you know? I'm going to send Conk. I'm going to send Oyston. We're going to arsenal Saltwater Swell. We're going to miss 5 points of damage. Florian is at 2. So 5 points of damage is pretty relevant. Alright, we do get to play out a Rigor Mortis. This is like so much worse. We took a 5-card 16 and turned it into a 4-card 9. Cool. Yeah, I mean, we're getting cards. Florian's at 2, we're at 10. We've got a Conqueror in Arsenal. Like, we're set up. I'm not going to say that we're in a bad spot, but as far as just ending it, we could have just ended the game. And instead, we're not doing that. Florian's going to kill the Rigor. We have an insane hand because we get to double conk Oyston. Conk from Arsenal, pitch, swell, call to the grave, float 2, pitch, limp it, conk for 8, go again, Oyston. There's no way that Florian lives through this turn. But, you know, again, remember, would have been able to win on our last turn. Here Florian's going to violently undo, which I fully support. You know, we're just buffing that win rate on FaB, baby. This is 2 wins right here. Win rate go up. Florian, of course, has the defense reaction in Arsenal. You know, little does he know that he is, in fact, super dead. And that's the game. So, eviscerate me in the comments, y'all. Let me know how, over the course of a 50-minute video, we punted so many times. How was I supposed to win 8 turns ago? Gravy is sick, right? His deck is insane, does really cool things. Super excited to be getting reps with it. There is no Aurora to distract me from learning a new hero, and that's exciting. Gravy already has proven results, 2nd place at US Nationals. There's a lot of innovation to be done with this hero. I'm really excited to keep jamming it on the channel for all of you. I know a lot of you have been excited about it too, so hopefully this is going to make a lot of you happy. Let me know where you're at with Gravy. Let me know if you enjoyed this game. I hope you did. I hope you learned something. I learned a ton just from watching this back on, like, damn, we missed a ton of free damage from playing and attacking with allies. If so, be sure to limp it over to that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free. It helps me out a lot. I have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, links to which are in the video description below. I will be back next week with more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.